didn't cry. Maybe I will next time. Funny how dreams disappear under layers of life. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a risk to take the next step, a risk to get your feet wet, a risk to fall down, a risk to try it again, a risk to give, a risk to live. There's nothing to lose, just live. These questions linger in my heart. Do you want me? Do you love me? So I take a deep breath with no guarantee, but a chance to ask for what I need. What a concept. Oh, it's a risk to take the next step, a risk to get your feet wet, a risk to fall down, a risk to try it again, a risk to give, a risk to live. Risk this, yeah. A kiss. I saw a friend of mine sewing her heart back together again. She now wants to live for more than 2 minutes between men. Change can come like a freight train, and sometimes I'm afraid, oh yeah. But I'd rather hit a wall at 90 than to be stuck inside my brain, yeah. It's a risk to take the next step, a risk to get your feet wet, a risk to fall down, a risk to try it again, a risk to give, a risk to live. There's nothing to lose, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's a risk to take the next step, a risk to get your feet wet, it's a risk to fall down, a risk to try it again, a risk to give, a risk to live. It's a risk to give, it's a risk to live. Oh, it's a risk to live.
good evening, and welcome to the Speedway Tavern on a very, very cold and chilly day. Well, Happy New Year to you all and everyone with an interest in Speedway all over the planet. At the end of last season, I was ready for a break from Speedway. I was Speedwayed out, and, well, that didn't last very long. A few weeks, in fact, and then I started researching and resorting to searching the YouTube to try and find a clip that I hadn't watched time and time again. I wasn't successful, although it was nice to relive Andy Graham's 1982 British Championship success. So, here we are in the middle of January, counting down the days to another season, each and every one of us convinced that this year above all years is the year for our team, with the exception of Cradley. What a crying shame their situation is. More of that later. So, for the first time this year, and definitely not the last, only in Speedway. Well, good evening, and as I say, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Webby.
Happy New Year.
Did you have anything nice for Christmas?
Yes.
No, not interested.
Okay,
so
thanks.
Anyway.
Can I just say that, if people are wondering who this handsome person is, because they don't normally see my face, do they?
Oh, sorry, you're talking about
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what can I say? Because you put the makeup on today.
Yeah. Thanks for the confidence boost anyway. But Matt will be joining us later.
Matt will be joining
on the
us,
phone
yeah.
and that one, yeah. And a guest as well.
We have a guest, yeah. Lee Kirby, the commercial manager at Birmingham, and other teams, of course, Swindon being one of those, will be joining us, and we'll have a chat. So get your questions ready if you want to ask Lee any questions about your team. I'm sure he'll do his best to answer them.
Quick hello to Phil Elkin and Tom Robinson, Matt Son and Nigel Moore. Good evening.
Those are all the people on the shout box. Now, if you want to contribute to the show, that's what it's all about. It's about you guys. Without you guys, there is no show, basically. So there are ways for you guys to participate, which Webb is now going to go through.
You can go on to our website, which is www.srbradio.com, and you'll find a chat box there. You can also find us on TuneIn if you just search for Sports Radio Birmingham, or you can participate on the Facebook page, which is what most people are doing right now. Just search for UK Speedway Tavern. There you go.
You're getting good at that.
Oh, I know, yeah. I've been practicing.
Well, thought you'd been doing something over the year.
And Anders Carlsberg. Anders Carlsberg says hello, and so does Gary O'Hare.
Probably the best hello in the world.
Oh,
I've been waiting all winter for that one.
I know.
So, I guess we should talk a little about what the show's going to be about today. We're going to have a look at the AGM. We're going to have a look at team building so far in the season. And hopefully Lee's going to be able to clear up a few points that I've got about the AGM, because the AGM applies to the top two leagues. And I don't know whether any of these rules that are part of the top two leagues actually apply to the National League as well. In particular, I'm most interested to find out about the new starting way we're going to start races without them being pulled back, as long as they don't break the tapes. As I understand it,
Yep.
I want to know whether that's going to apply to the National League as well.
Right, okay.
So, shall we start with the AGM, which, I mean, I would imagine most people are familiar with, but we'll just go over the SCB statement about it. And then if anybody's got any questions, shove them on, or comments, or whether they think it's a good idea, a bad idea, etc., etc. So British Speedway's top two leagues have agreed set race days in a bid to cut out fixture clashes and allow greater rider availability. It means for the first time ever the Premiership will run only on Monday and Wednesday, But there is also consideration for Swindon for a number of protected Thursdays due to stadium commitments. The Championship will therefore stage meetings on Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. It's a move which has been discussed over many weeks but was finally approved at the British Speedway Promoters Association AGM over the weekend. Promoters have also listened to fans' feedback and have scrapped the tactical ride for double points and rolled back the years by bringing back the traditional tactical substitute when a team is 6 points or more behind. This applies between heats 5 and 14, excluding heat 8, which is a protected race for the reserves, I think. British Speedway Chairman Keith Chapman said, both Rod Godfrey and myself would like to thank all promoters for delivering blah-de-blah-de-blah. So, well, that was just,
I'm guessing you wanted to skip over
that. Was self-congratulations.
Right, okay.
We'll leave that out. Mm-hmm. So the summary. I'm just seeing if there's anything further down about that I haven't actually mentioned. Yep. Premiership and Championship League team points average increased to 42.5, which is what you need for a draw. 42.5 points. Lakeside will be joining the Championship. So they've moved up from the National League, with all of the teams remaining in their current leagues. The Knockout Cup first round draws for both leagues on a regionalised basis. Tactical subs, black and white double points replaced with tactical substitution permitted in heats 5 to 14, as we mentioned before. And for clarity, there are no double points. Can we have a round of applause for that, please?
Well done, well done.
No double points. Can we have a round of applause?
Well, you could do, but then. But the thing is, you see,
yes.
At the moment, I'm being really clever, and I've got a screen up so that the punters can actually see what you're talking about.
You've let me down.
Look, I'm a bloke.
It's only January. Yes. I'm not happy about this. There will be no promotion or relegation between the two leagues, but the top 4 from each league will compete in their own league playoffs. I said at the beginning of last season...
I was going to say, tell me why you're not happy, but you've gone straight. Tell me why you're not happy.
I said at the beginning of last season that I thought the relegation thing was a great idea, that they'd made the two leagues closer, but it probably wouldn't work, but that wasn't a reason to scrap it. Because what you do is you find out why it didn't work and tweak it until you get it to work. And I just think that this keeps happening within Speedway, where they come up with an idea, and because it doesn't work the first time they try it, instead of trying to make it work, they just say, well, it didn't work, we'll get rid of it. That's personal opinion. A number of working groups have been established from within the association to further develop Speedway for the medium and long term. I would love to know a little bit more about that. I really would like to know a bit more about that. Yeah. And BSPA has a strong proposal for the SCB that will significantly reduce false starts, with further details being released after consultation with the SCB. Okay. My understanding of that is basically something that I've been calling for ages. If they don't touch the tapes, it's not a false start.
Okay.
You know, if somebody gets a bit of an advantage. How many times last year did we see Tom Bacon get pulled back because he made a good start? Time and time again. This rule, if it does come into the National League, and it's one of the ones that the rules I want clearing up and for that, would help people like Tom Bacon tremendously, which is why it's a great.
When do they hope to bring that out? Just as you know, further details being released after consultation with the SCB.
Well, I think that was to make sure that they were allowed to do it. I think is
right. Okay, because I mean, it's not that far away, is it?
No, it's about 6-7 weeks.
Exactly.
Like that, yeah.
Okay.
Scunthorpe asset Josh Orty is granted a testimonial after celebrating 10 years of service in British Speedway.
That's great.
It is great, but oh my life. I remember when Josh Orty started and when he became a Birmingham rider, and now it's 10 years.
I know. Then he was in a pushchair.
Yeah.
10 years later.
Makes me feel old.
Yeah, you are.
And Sheffield asset and current team manager Simon Stead will celebrate a successful career by being granted a farewell meeting. And
that's good.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, yeah.
That will be. Right, so have we got any comments?
Not as yet, no. There's a lot of people on, but a lot of people a bit saying...
so we love your ideas and your comments about all of that, whether you agree with the rule changes, whether you feel that. So, okay, I see. I'll start the ball rolling, shall I?
Just quickly. Good evening, John Parks. Yes.
Good evening, John Parks. I do see some problems from a National League point of view, and obviously, being a Birmingham supporter, that's very much on my mind. With this fact that you got the Championship on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Premiership on Monday and Wednesday. That's great for riders doubling up and so on between those two leagues. Not so great for National League. And I mean, I wonder what's going to happen with Daniel Hume, because he rides for Swindon. If they're racing on a Wednesday, same night as us. I mean, I know they've got some protected Thursdays, so hopefully David Mason's poring over the fixture lists to minimise that. But it is a worry. You know, it is a worry.
Anything else you're a bit sceptical, worried, happy? Happy? Are you happy about anything?
Is there anything I'm happy about? I'm happy that I'm going to be seeing Speedway soon, hopefully. I'm happy about the shape of the team. I'll be totally honest with you. It's not the team I would have picked. It very rarely is. I mean, it wouldn't be fair of me to riders that have currently been picked for me to be too critical on that one. But I'm going to be watching at least one rider of the 6 that we've, and hope I'm not disappointed.
Right.
That's what I'll say with that one. This idea of them running on particular race nights, I think. Well, as fans, we've been calling for that for a very long time. So they finally caught up with us. I just do worry about the National League situation and rider availability. As ever, the National League doesn't seem to have been considered, and it's just a worry. It's just a worry. So anyway, I think before we
need to
call Lee. What we'll do is, I believe you've got a video.
I've got Nigel Pearson.
Commenting about the AGM. Some of you may have already seen this, but it's worth looking at again. So this is Nigel Pearson talking about the AGM. Hopefully, yes.
Maybe not.
That doesn't sound like Nigel Pearson.
Hi there, I'm Nigel Pearson. Welcome along to our Speedway Great Britain News Roundup, the first in many to come here. And of course it's topical right now because of the British Speedway AGM that has just concluded in Tenerife. The promoters have flown back and are now beginning their team plans in earnest for the 2018 season.
Carry on talking.
Okay, we'll carry on talking then. Well, let's talk about the Cradley situation.
Oh, hang on.
And then right now we have the same 8 top flight clubs.
No, okay. Forget that.
Okay, we'll talk about the Cradley situation. And obviously, Cradley have been the butt of many a joke in this studio.
They have,
the past couple of years. But it's always been friendly banter.
Yeah.
It's a crying shame what's happened to them. As I understand it, basically, there's just not enough nights available for them at Wolverhampton for them to run a full season. So they're only in the National Trophy. And they've started well as far as team building is concerned, because they've signed Adam Roynan, who's got a 9.37 average and will probably be arguably the best rider in the league, although only in the National Trophy, of course. The real crying shame, of course, is that they still haven't got a home of their own.
Yeah.
That Cradley, who've got no cricket team, no football team, no rugby team, no anything team, can't be bothered to get up off their backsides, and I'm talking about Cradley councillors now, and find something that the town is famous for in sporting circles and is crying out for. And it just beggars belief. It really does.
It's got a great cheap shop.
I believe so.
But there you go.
You know, that's not
No, it is. No, I agree. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it, really?
And I tell you what else, it's a shame.
And the famous thing that they are famous for is
Speedway.
Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
crazy.
Absolutely. And it's a crying shame for Speedway as well, because let's be honest, it's one of those teams that everybody wants to beat. It's one of those teams that everybody comes out to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's that sort of, you know, it's almost like having Manchester United turn up, or you know, in those terms.
Yeah, no, I agree. Elliot Hunter says one problem is only 1 8 rider per Premiership team, which has ruined Wolves' chances of having Freddie and Jacob in the same team.
Yes, that wasn't in that press release, was it? Yeah, that did come out from the AGM, that only one rider with an 8+ average is allowed to ride for each team, which has meant that I think Freddie Lindgren hasn't been able to find a team, for instance, and certainly wasn't riding for Wolves. I don't know what to say. I can understand why they're doing it, because the other big talking point, of course, is no TV money.
Yep.
And so I think it's down to that, isn't it, really? There's no TV money. They've got to cut the cloth accordingly. So...
Elliot also says, I'm unhappy that Cradley are not riding a full season and can't sort out their own track, with so much hard work trying to sort out Lion Farm. Was that the proposed?
That was, yeah.
It was.
There's a lot of controversy about Lion Farm, about, you know, we had the guys in the studio and they were absolutely cock-a-hoop, weren't they?
Yeah, passionate as well. So passionate, yeah.
But unfortunately, well, it's been said that they didn't do the proper groundwork, they didn't fill out the proper forms and the rest of it. And that might be true.
But come on.
But yeah,
these guys are trying to... Yeah, look what they're trying to do.
The council should be there saying, look, we understand what you're trying to do.
You've got this wrong. Come with us, work with us. We'll show you what we need to do.
So there are two sides.
Let's get it right between us. Let's work between us, yeah. Tim Webster says, evening guys, he's listening in. And Gerald Rathbone says, can you give the SRBF a mention, March the 18th, 2 p.m. at Peterborough? The SRBF.
Oh, that's the Ben Fund.
Right, okay. We're going to talk about that later.
We are going to talk about that, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, I noticed Ben Barker's riding yet again. I don't think he's missed one. I don't think he's missed one.
That's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So that's the Ben Fund. That's going to be on March the 18th at Peterborough, which is... the Ben Fund is where we collect monies which goes to the Speedway Riders Benevolent Fund, so riders that are injured and so on, you know, have got some sort of income, can survive in essence. Yeah, so we are definitely going to talk about that later.
I'll tell you what, why don't we play a couple of tracks? One track.
Well,
let's get Lee up, and then we'll come back in just a couple of minutes. So here we go.
Take me back to July when things were alright. Take me back to July. Just take me back to July. Shotgun and passenger seat. Call me crazy, but I think we had a chance, you know.
Okay, welcome to the Speedway Tavern, Lee.
Hey, how you doing? All right.
Oh, brilliant! I can hear. I had a worry then that I wasn't going to hear you. With technical issues in this place tonight. Okay, well, first of all, welcome to Birmingham Brummies.
Thank you. Yeah.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about how that actually came about, that you became the commercial manager for Birmingham.
It was. I was actually at Swindon. I was at the Abbey, and I think I was prepping for. It was a meeting in the evening, and David gave us a call. And me and David go back to when he rode for me for the Sprockets last year. So I ran the Swindon Sprockets in the National League Trophy last year. And me and David rode 2 or 3 meetings for me. We got on really well. And at that point, when he called me, I didn't know that he'd taken over at Birmingham. And we started to talk. He started to talk very close shop about. He was asking me different questions about the sponsorship side of Swindon and all the rest of it. And then it evolved into him saying, "Look, I've taken over at Birmingham. Nobody knows yet. How does your position sit with Swindon? Would you be able to do it for other clubs?" And which I replied, "Yeah, absolutely, I could. It all just depends on whether it fits for me, for you, for the club." And we just started talking. We batted a few ideas back and forward. And what was very pleasing was David had obviously seen what had gone on at Swindon last season, and it had shone, and it was very positive, and it made him want to put that call in for me, which was wonderful. And then we spoke about it a few times. I went down to Birmingham and met him and watched the meeting down there. And as soon as I walked into the stadium, I was just like, wow, this is a nice environment, superb setting, stadium's brilliant. And I just thought I could sell this, I would enjoy being a part of this. And it just seemed to go from there. And we struck a deal very, very quickly. And I got to work. So, yeah, it's really positive. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very early days. Obviously, it's a busy time for me, pre-season. But it's been awesome working for David so far and his dad. And yeah, it's good, really good. So it kind of came and stemmed from there, really, just an out-of-the-blue phone call from David.
I suppose the most obvious question to follow on from that is, what sort of things are you going to be bringing over from your experience at Swindon to Birmingham, and what sort of changes might we see because of that?
Yeah, I think it's one of those that when the job at Swindon, obviously I took it on at the start of last season, and the commercial manager's role is a position I'd looked at for a few years at Swindon, and we went through a few different commercial managers. They seemed to stay for a year and then go, and somebody else would come in, and there just seemed to be a bit of a conveyor belt. And I'd met a few of the commercial managers and said, look, this is Speedway, this is what it is, these are the intricacies, this is what makes it tick, this is how you can take it forward. And I think the problem that we had at Swindon at that time is we were bringing in very good sales and commercial people, but not necessarily Speedway people. And I think the key to Speedway, well, with a lot of things that you're selling and put into market and advertise, is knowing it inside out, which I did. And so the role at Swindon was a dream for me, really, because I just finished writing my dad's book, my dad's biography, and I was looking for a role, and my sister phoned me and said, look, the Swindon job's there. I phoned the club up and said, look, you're not going to find anybody better than me to do this role, so, give me a shot. And it was wonderful. And I think where I'm going with it is I moved into Swindon, and I was able to put into practice all the things that I've been seeing for years, which is, it's not rocket science, it's about engaging with the supporters, it's about being a face for them to speak to. And I think that was very prominent at Swindon last year, is the supporters felt they had somebody that they could just go to and ask questions, and it was a direct feed to the club. Now, obviously, I know a lot of people at Swindon, whereas at Birmingham, I'm going to be meeting a lot of new people. But hopefully, that we'll create that same thing at Birmingham, where the fans will have somebody to speak to. The promotion isn't a closed shop; it's very much open. We're interested in what fans think. We want to know what they're experiencing on a race night. And one of the big successes for me at Swindon last year was we worked hard on sponsorship at the start of the year, and we started the season quite well financially at Swindon, and we want to do that at Birmingham this year. So I'm out and about at the moment, trying to bring in sponsorship, trying to engage with new businesses, trying to give them something that will enhance their business, and their involvement will stem from what I can do for them, or what we as a club can do for them. And I've had some really good conversations. I was in Birmingham / Perry Bar all of last Thursday, and I pounded the beat a lot, and I was around about a lot of businesses, but some really great conversations. So I think that was one of the big things, is to get out and about sponsorship wise. But what we want to do, and me and David and Peter Mason, we're very much on the same page in that we want to create pretty much what like it used to be, like a real show, a real engaging experience. So you don't come and watch 15 heats and then go home. You come and there is other things going on. And, you know, we're going to bring in a mascot next year, primarily looking at the junior aspect of Speedway, because there is a big gap. You know, it doesn't matter what track you go to, whether it's Birmingham, Swindon, Somerset, it doesn't really matter. Plymouth, what you see on the terraces is very similar. You know, that the demographic, the age bracket is very, very, very similar. Yeah. And so what I tried to do last year at Swindon was to engage with the kids and engage with the parents that have got kids, you know, bring them in the school holidays, etc. And we had a really, really good feedback on what we did with the kids last year. And we're going to try and do that at Birmingham this year. And I kind of created a nice blueprint at Swindon that hopefully I can pick up and move across and drop into Birmingham this year. We've obviously introduced the bulls in the MDL, so there is more racing to watch of an evening, which again was a big thing for David. You know, he wanted to create more on the night of the match, and the fact that we can chuck in another 6 heats just increases the value for money. And I'm very old school. Obviously my dad rode, and you go back to the late 70s, early 80s. I used to love the second halves. You know, you used to get really good, whether it would be the junior sprockets or it would be the second half meeting with the riders.
Yeah, because you had this idea of people coming through and into the team.
And that's right, and that is again what David has spoken about. It would be great if you can put a Midland Development League side together and somebody really shine through that. Potentially next year they step into a number 8 role, or you know, a number 7 role if it was that successful. And that's what we want to do. And David's very much on that way of thinking, that it would be great if we can, you know, give youngsters and these guys that are at that level the chance to, you know, ride their bikes more. And it's a big opportunity to give the crowd some more racing as well.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that I've banged on for years, haven't I, Webber? You'll back me up on this. Is the sense of continuity in Speedway, and the time and time again you come from one season to the next, and you know you've got 6 or 7 different riders from last year, and I think particularly for kids who follow their heroes, that can be a particular problem, and it's really pleasing to see this year that we've got at least one. Let me think. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 riders in from last year. You could even count Mitchell Davey as being as an honorary Brummie because he helped us win the league the year before.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite nice, that continuity.
I think so, and again, you're exactly right. That is, and I always lean towards talking about the kids, but it's the same for adults. You know, you wanna understand a rider, you wanna learn about a rider, you want him to feel like he really is part of your club, and exactly that, by bringing back a little core there of riders that have appeared last year or previously for the club. It does just give it continuity. Oh, that's great that he's back, you know, and you can see them progress as well. I mean, we announced Lane today, which was wonderful, and I think that it's a big year for Lane this year. I think he's a very busy lad. He's got a lot going on in his life, but he has got the ability to be a very, very, very good speedway rider, and this could be a big year for him.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Now we've got our little shout box going on at the moment. There's a few questions popping up. I'm trying to pick the ones that I think are relevant to you.
Okay.
But yeah, Mike Park says tweaking of the rules doesn't bring people through the turnstiles. He doesn't see anything being done to promote the sport to people not already going. I don't know whether you've got an answer for that.
Well, yeah, you are. You know, I think that's the the $1 million thing, isn't it? Is we do every year, we tweak the rules, and every year we come back and we go again, and we the hardcore of Speedway supporters will adapt to it, because we do. We take it for what it is, and then chances are we're going to go into next season, and 2019, and it'll be different. I think. I don't at this moment in time. I wouldn't like to put an answer to that. I think all that I would like to say is for Birmingham and the other clubs that I work for. It's important that those that are coming, that are regular Speedway supporters, that they feel that they're getting more of an experience when they come. That's key, that's what we want to create at Birmingham, Swindon, Plymouth. That's what we want to do, is make sure that you can walk away from a meeting this year and go, that was value for money. There was things going on. It was entertaining. The riders are out and about. We got to meet a few people. And for me, I did something in the Speedway Star last week about, getting out to schools and engaging with the kids and bringing them in. And I think it's one of those things that it's when you're out selling Speedway, if you speak to somebody that knows the sport, they will throw in something about the rules, now it's always changing, all the rest of it. But when you meet new people and you're introducing new businesses, they're essentially coming from a non-Speedway background, and you're starting afresh. And if you can create, and to all of us, we know the rules change every year, but to new people, they don't necessarily know that, so it's key to try and bring new people into the sport so that they can start enjoying it, and they don't really know the history that there is there so much. So I don't know, it's a difficult one, and I'm sure the powers that be wouldn't want it to be like this. And I'm sure if we had a forum where everybody could contribute, you'd get hundreds of thousands of comments and suggestions. But I just don't think it's that easy. I mean, I've got personal opinions on what I would do, but I'm sure there would be somebody else that would shoot, or 10, 20 people that would shoot that down straight away.
I think for me, one of the problems has always been that I think that Speedway tries things and does try things, but are too quick to throw something away when it doesn't work the first time, and don't go, well, okay, that didn't work, but how can we make it work? Like, for instance, the promotion relegation situation last year, I thought created a lot of interest. And okay, in the end, it was the gap was too big. But instead of worrying, just throwing it away, you find a way to make that work.
And I think the draft that we did with the juniors in the top flight a couple of years ago is a very similar thing. It was there for a couple of years, and then it kind of seemed to dwindle away. It's I think again, I'm not in the position there at the BSPA to comment, but I'm sure for everything that comes and goes, there's a few people in that room that saying, this is what we think, and this is why we don't think it's the way to go.
Right, I'm going to try and get through some of the chat box is going mad, so I'm going to try and get through a few of these. And I'm aware that you're the commercial manager, so some of these things that we'll be asking you about is going to be opinion rather than...
I can try, yeah.
So ask Lee about one league, as there is no real reason now to have a premiership, as the standard isn't far off championship, and a variety is what fans want, not the same teams over again.
No, and in an ideal world, I think with Speedway as it is now, you would like to try and create one big league where you are racing against 19 different sides. I think that would be ideal. I think there are so many little things to that it's like I'm helping Zach Weitnick at Swindon last year and this year quite a bit, and I helped him when he had his injury last year, and he wouldn't be able to function as a Speedway rider if he only had one team.
Right.
And I think that immediately is there for a lot of riders, and I just financially, I think the cost of Speedway for the rider itself, they're just they're out of control.
But surely it's the amount of meetings they have rather than the number of teams they are. So they're still riding the same amount of meetings because there's one big league. Yeah, because you've got more matches. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like the idea of having the divisions. I think it's good that you have a top and a second, but something has to be done, because if Lakeside were able to race against a team in the top flight this season, I think they'd give them a pretty good run for their money, because we've got half Swindon's team there anyway. Right. So. Yeah. So, I mean, rider availability, of course, then becomes another issue for that as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Richard Cotton's talking about... so Mike Parks was saying that, yes, we need to keep a nucleus of team members year on year, which is what we was talking about earlier. And Richard Cotton said, would it make sense in that case to offer a reduction on average for any rider that signs for the same club at the start of the season that they finished the previous season with?
Again, I think, in principle, yes. But then I'm sure there's a load of comments there to go against that in terms of the strength of the teams. I mean, you think of Birmingham, you've had two championship winning sides there, fantastic teams. We've had the same thing at Swindon last year. We've done very, very well. We've been able to keep the nucleus of that team. You've obviously had to lose Jason Dorr, which is not ideal from a commercial point of view. That didn't do me any favours, really. No. But I just there's the balancing act of averages and riders and selection. I just think it's a minefield, and part of one of the things I've always said is, if you could grade every rider, put them in pots from A through to G or H, and you can have a couple of riders from each pot, but maybe you could only ride one from the top pot, which would mean you get a couple of riders in there, i.e., let's just say for the sake of it, Nicky Pedersen and Jason Doyle, but you can only use one of them in a meeting. It means they don't have to commit to Britain as much. I don't know. There's lots of different ways of looking at it, and I think the averages is such a minefield. I mean, what we had with Jason last year with him on a 13, whatever he was on, was just bonkers, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you put me back the shout box, please? Sorry, he's taking my shout box away from me. Why is the AGM votes, this is Graham Darlington, why is the AGM votes not done by all tracks and not split between two leagues, as it's one AGM, not two? So, yeah, sort of excludes the National League quite a lot. We do feel a bit excluded at the moment.
Yeah, and again, I've now experienced that myself, having been a part of Birmingham, and I was with the club before David went to the AGM. And in an ideal world, I think that you would end up with a situation where you get an independent body come into Speedway and say, look, this is what we think you should do. These are the finances we can bring, and you would collectively get everybody under one banner, and then you would move everybody forward as a three division tiers. Whereas at the moment, it doesn't feel like that. I completely agree. I completely agree that the third tier does feel a little bit removed from the other two, and again, I think for the continuity side of it, if you had all of the clubs at the AGM, I think you've got a better chance of progressing collectively forward. Whereas when you do have two separate AGMs, you've obviously got two sets of everything, two sets of opinions, minutes, suggestions, comments, and I know they probably do share best practice. Which again is a big thing for me, and in the commercial world, that's something that I've noticed is we should all be sharing best practice more. You know, this has really worked for us. Why don't you try this? I think that's again another big thing that could come from having one larger AGM, so to speak.
Okay, so I mean the thing about that, I guess, is that it's not so much that we feel left out, as we feel dictated to, because the AGM happens for the top two leagues, and we almost feel that we have to. Well, we've been told what to do. I think is a bit of a problem for us. But interestingly, I mean, you've been at Swindon, which is obviously I've got to get this right, the Championship.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. The old Elite, I still think Elite League.
Elite League, I still call it the Elite League.
What's the difference between sort of selling Swindon in the Championship and Birmingham in the National League? Have you noticed any differences? Yeah,
so Swindon's Premiership is the Premiership, then Championship, and then the National League.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. if I've got that wrong, all of my merchandise is wrong. Do you know, it's interesting. Obviously, Swindon had a stellar year last year, so when I was setting the year up at the beginning of last year, we were talking Jason Doyle, we were talking Grand Prix riders, we were talking the elite, you know, and again, when you're talking to somebody that doesn't know Speedway, that all rings very true. We're in the top division, we've got some of the best Grand Prix riders in the world at our club, and we've got a TV deal. Right. And for people interested in the sport, that does hold a lot of sway. You know, for anybody wanting to commit some money and get some advertising and marketing, the chance of being on BT Sports is a big deal for people. But I think my angle, what I've noticed is, when I'm having a conversation with these potential sponsors or groups of people or whatever they may be, it's about the interaction. Speedway still provides you with the opportunity to get involved, to touch, to smell, to be right next to it. It's not removed from the fans. And again, a lot of people that have been in the sport years would probably to a point disagree with me a little bit, but it is still a sport that I can invite a sponsor down to Birmingham, and we can get in the pits at the beginning of the meeting and meet all the riders and have a photograph, you know, and that's a big thing. And it's a lot of sponsors at Swindon have said to me, look, Lee, in complete honesty, we do this because we love this. We invest in the club because we are supporters of the club. We've grown up watching the club, you know, we bring our kids now and our families come, and it's engaging for us. Sport, I don't necessarily, and this is a couple of the sponsors, I don't necessarily need to get any financial return on my investment in Swindon, and a few of them did last year, which was terrific, and they told me as such. But the others, like, we don't even really gauge it. We don't look for a response.
It's back again. Yeah. Hello, you still there, Lee?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, you disappeared for a second there. I think the phone cut off for some reason.
And so that's the way that I approach the sales side of it. You know, I don't go in and promise I don't go in and promise anything. I go in and ask companies what I can do for them, what Birmingham Speedway could provide, what are they looking to do, and it very much is for local businesses. It's about marketing to the local area. It's about getting a banner or an advertising an ad in the program, or their name mentioned, that they are local plumbers, to the 1,000, 1,200, 15, 2,000 people that we're going to get through the door every week. You know, that's a large part of it for businesses when I'm talking to them. And then a lot of it is about the experience, bringing your clients. We've got great hospitality at Birmingham. We've got to be one of the best in the country, I would have thought, with the boxes that we've got available, and the bar, etc. So it's just about offering something to them, because with sports sponsorship, I've spent a lot of time with people that work in Formula One sports sponsorship and motocross sports sponsorship, and a lot of companies feel that their money is taken from them and then they're just left and they don't really get that much back from it. Whereas it's key and it's massive for me that we get the investment, and then we go, right, this is what we're going to put back into you. This is how we're going to help you. If you've got an open day, we'll rock up with a rider and a bike, and we'll sign some autographs and do some selfies and all the rest of it. And it's just engagement, and it's just engaging for people. So the response was great last week. I had a really good week. I'm back in Birmingham again this week. We're hoping to litter the area in some advertising posters when we know what the fixture list is looking like. So we're going to work our socks off to get more people through the door, and to get some old supporters back in again, and some new faces.
So I'm going to be a little bit cheeky now.
Go for it.
Just because I can. Just because I can. As we look at the Birmingham Speedway site at the moment, there is no main sponsor.
Yep.
Have we got one? Are you able to give us any ideas? You're going to say no, aren't you?
I'm going to say no, but we should have some news in the next couple of weeks.
Right. Okay.
Joe McLaughlin, who did the role before me, he was terrific. He spoke to a lot of the sponsors that we had. And explained the situation, and a lot of them wanted to stay, which is wonderful. And we've got some new potential sponsors coming in. So we do have a team title sponsor lined up. We just have to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yeah, and obviously you want to make a big announcement, which is part of providing value for them, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. It's and social media is such a big thing for that now. We can engage with people on social media and try and find them new markets, new customers, and new clients. And so it's a bit more than just saying their name. It's about having a little package set up, and people behind the scenes ready to work on the social media side of it as well. But yes, we do. We will, and we do.
Well. Thank you, Lee. I'm very aware that I told you this was only going to last 15 minutes, and it's sort of nearly been 25 already.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But thank you very much for coming on the show, and hope you'll be able to come on again, perhaps when we've got that new sponsor. And,
absolutely. I'd like to. And I think all of my details are now on the Birmingham site under the commercial page, my email, my phone number. So if there is anybody out there that just even just wants to make contact for non-sponsorship reasons, have got questions about the club, feel free. That's the whole point, is that there's somebody there that the supporters can talk to, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait for the season to start now.
That's brilliant. Thank you once again, and good luck for you. We'll time at the Brummies this season, and at Plymouth and at Swindon. You take care. Great stuff. Thanks for having me on, guys. We'll catch up soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
All the best. Nice one.
Okay.
Well, that was an interesting
phone.
That was an interesting phone.
Yeah.
That was an interesting interview there.
I think one thing that did shine through was his passion for the sport.
Absolutely, enthusiasm and passion, and
it's really good.
He knows what he's talking about. I feel like we're in safe hands.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to know.
Yeah, a couple of comments come through.
Yeah, there's been lots of comments come through. Sorry, I didn't manage to get through all of them.
I need to go back quite a bit, where because somebody mentioned the terrible thing at Coventry with the way it's.
Oh yes.
The ground has gone into disrepair.
Cradley and Coventry, really.
Yeah, but that was quite sad and quite eerie with that video I saw the other day of walking around. It's just
Coventry's got another ghost town.
So sad. Yeah. It is sad, though, isn't it?
It is sad. I can't ever see them going back there.
No.
And it's I mean, okay, that they're racing this year in the
How
National
long have they been there?
League.
Since about 1920 something?
28.
28, I think,
something
yeah.
like that.
So.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to mention something else, haven't we? If you'd like to take us back to the other shout box.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll,
I'll
have
just
a-
go online to SRB Radio. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
We'd just like to wish Dennis Drury a happy birthday
Happy birthday.
because she's today.
Yeah.
I've been told how old she is, but I've been told I can't tell you.
She done well. She made it.
So, yes. So, yeah, we don't.
We won't say how old she is, but the bus passes on the way.
And let's just say this, Graham and Denise, welcome back at Birmingham anytime, obviously.
Of course they are. Always.
Once a brummie, always a brummie, as we've said. Have we got any more comments up here?
There's quite a few. Wouldn't it be better marketing Speedway at a cheaper admission fee and try and increase crowds, as people that know the sport know it's overpriced for the product? Better to have 2,000 at £10. That's £1,200 at £16.
Well, yes, it would, but there's no guarantee that that's what would happen. It's a hard. First of all, is it overpriced?
It all depends. What are you comparing it
Comparing
with?
it to, if you're comparing it to
football,
if you
then
compare
it's
it to
not.
football, it's not. Yeah,
It's not, no.
You've got to compare it to team sports. Haven't
Yeah.
you? I mean, if you compare it to Formula One, it's definitely not, because you're
No.
talking hundreds of pounds
Exactly,
for
yeah,
Formula
yeah.
One. It's about making the show. I think if the show's right, Speedway's a good product. If they get it right.
Yeah.
And they've been getting it wrong, let's be honest about it. But there are certain glimmers of hope. If this, and I forgot to ask Lee about the new rule, the starting tapes rule.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to ask him. But if that new rule comes out and we don't have less false starts and the show runs better and there's things happening in between, then actually that's not a bad price. If you're being entertained for the majority of the time, that's not a bad price. So I really do think that perhaps I've got to get this right, the Premiership
Yes.
is slightly overpriced. The Championship's probably about right and the National League's about right.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it's not about so much. People need to feel that they're getting value for money.
Yeah, but there is that other line where, as with football, you've still got to get the people. You've got to get the people and you've got to get them hooked.
Yeah, you've got to get the people.
I think at any cost, to be honest.
I think Speedway, when most people that first see Speedway, I'd say about maybe 60, 70%, which is not a bad percentage, go, whoa.
Yeah.
When they first see the bikes go into that corner, the way they do, I think that's definitely a reaction. It's then waiting for the next fix of, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, that's that gap between. I think at Birmingham, we've run a fairly quick show. Obviously, you can't do anything about.
And the fact that most Speedway meetings, there's a certain amount of interaction as well with
the riders.
With the riders, yeah. You do feel that.
You do feel that, and I think they need to do more of that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I think simple things.
That's one of the biggest selling points, I think.
Sorry?
It's one of the biggest selling points, I think.
I think simple things like, if you're going to have a break, which I don't really see the need for, but if you're going to have a break, should be a quick break. You know, if you say 10 minutes, it should be 10 minutes, not 20 minutes, as sometimes happens. I think even Birmingham's been guilty of that one.
No, definitely. Yeah.
But if you've got a second half, as we have, I mean, that always used to be the break, didn't it? You used to have the match, have a break, and then the second half.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason for that. Particularly, if you want to attract kids, you need to get the match over before 9 o'clock if you can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you need to make a commitment to doing that. So, because kids have got to go to school the next day.
Yeah.
If we was operating on a Saturday, it'd be a different matter maybe, but we're not. So we have to take that into account. And so you need to get the matches through quick.
Graham's just reiterated that, saying that Somerset's best crowd was £5 to get in.
Yes, I'm sure it was, and I know other people have done it. And why wouldn't it be? But would it stay that? That's a one-off thing. Would it stay at that level of crowd?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Are we going to have time to phone, give Matt a call?
Let's give it a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah, have
So,
a quick chat from that.
tell you what,
I
should
mean,
we
we was going to look at all the different makeups of all the teams. While you're finding that, I'll have a chat about the Brummies team this
All
year.
right,
Don't think we're going to have time.
I'll keep it going. Then, Mark.
Don't think we're going to have time to do them all. Excuse me, I might need another beer, mate. Oh dear. So the Birmingham team so far in my comments. So we got Daniel Hume on a 7.33. I think that's a no-brainer, to be honest. He's definitely going to improve on that 7.33. We've got Tom Bacon on 8.75, and that's an interesting one. So he's going to be riding at number one because he's going to have the highest average, and obviously he started last season as number one and perhaps didn't perform as a number one. Didn't matter because JPB was performing as a number one. I think these new rules, these new starting rules, are going to favour Tom Baker, because how many times last year did he make a tremendous start only to be pulled back? Well, my understanding is of the new rules, if they do come in, that won't happen. So I think this is going to be a tremendous year for him. Then we have Mitchell Davey, who I really wanted to ride for us last year. So I'm really pleased to see him, and he's just going to be 8.61 is worth every penny of that. Lan Cupid is an interesting one. Started the season on fire.
Great name, by the way.
Lan Cupid.
Fantastic.
Started the season on fire, didn't finish it quite as well, shall we say. There was always effort, but he never seemed to have the machinery there. So this, as Lee highlighted, will be a big year for him, and I think how Lan Cupid performs is key to how Birmingham performs, because he has the potential to put a couple of points on that average if he rides to his potential. Lee Flint, what a great name for a speedway rider.
Another great name.
I know not a lot about him, but everybody seems to be saying he's not going to be a 3-point average rider by the end of the season, so hopefully that's right. And Callum Walker, a 420 again. I think that's a key signing for Birmingham. He needs to put half a point or so on his average, and if he does that, we're going to be successful. And we're all waiting to see who the last signing is going to be. I'd love to have your comments out there on who you would like it to be. So there's one obvious choice, Kyle Roberts.
Hopefully, we have our co-presenter online.
Yeah. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Hello there. I'm just going to answer a question that's just come up on the shout box, then I'm going to come to you. So Richard Hill said, JPB is riding for my team Glasgow this year. Is he any good? Matt, is JPB any good?
He's okay, I guess.
He's, how old is he now? He must be about 17 now. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, JPB is very good. He's pretty quick out the gate, and he knows how to work the track, find the dirt and all the rest of it. I think he might start off slow, so give him a chance, but I think you've got a good one there. Right, hello Matt, Happy New Year to you, mate.
Happy New Year to everybody.
So, we're running out of time. We've actually got 6 minutes left for you, mate.
Oh, that's all right.
So, Wolverhampton, not being able to sign 2 riders over 8, bit of a blow for you, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think before we say anything else, of course, I think everybody would join me in wishing the best to Chris Van Stratton as he recovers from his surgery just before Christmas. Of course,
yes.
Probably it'll help going back to last season, but on the mend now, and get more soon, Chris, and obviously one more in March.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
Yeah, obviously very disappointing. I think it's a shame really for Freddie Lingham, because he's been a great servant to British Speed for so many years, and through no fault of his own, after what was arguably his best season, he's lost his place in the team. I don't think it's a decision that the Wolverhampton promotion would have backed at the AGM. I can see why they've done it, because it looks to me like there's not going to be any TV money coming in, or if there is, it's going to be significantly lesser than it was when it was Sky. But just got to get on with it, I guess. And obviously now the team is completed, it's pretty much a very good continuity of the team. 5 of the riders that were in the side last season come back, so there is that continuity, but there's a question mark, I think, about the top end of the team, I think.
Yeah. Whereas with Birmingham, it's the other way around, I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I think I look at the Birmingham team. It looks quite a compact team. I think Mitchell Davies probably not going to be as effective as JPB was, but maybe the hope of the Brummies is that Daniel Hume's going to step up to the plate and take it where he left off before his season was cruelly injured by injury last year.
Yeah, 2 seasons on the trot, of course. Do you think that the new rules, although we're not sure whether they apply to the National League, and we're not even sure whether they still apply to the top leagues yet, the new rules as far as the starting gates are concerned, I think that's going to help Tom Bacon a lot, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know much details has been released about these new regulations for the start yet, but if it reduces the amount of restarts and messing about at the starts, then hopefully it'll sort of bridge the gap and help get through meetings quicker without everybody back around every 5 minutes.
So, looking forward to the new season, looking at the Wolverhampton team, and bearing in mind you got it quite wrong last year. Yeah, are you happy with the team? How do you think they're going to do?
I think it's a reasonable team. I'm pleased with the fact that there's continuity of having a team that had a very good spirit last season, and that most of them are going to be back. I think Roy Schlein will be very, very effective captain. I think he impressed the Wolves management last season when he stepped into the breach of the playoffs after Freddie got injured. My concern really, of course, is having Jakob Torso at number 1, because 1, he's coming back from a very serious injury himself.
Yeah.
And 2, it's a big ask for him to step up now to be a number 1, even in a watered down league, because let's not forget last season he was actually riding at number 4 all season, so he didn't ride in the big heats. I know he rode in most of the 15s at home, but it's a lot of pressure on Jakob's shoulders, I think, this year, but hopefully he's developed really well as a rider in the 5 years he's been with us, so hopefully that'll continue. He can make the step up. But it's going to be an interesting season. I think you look at the sides in the league. I think Paul, obviously having Chris Holder back, I think wasn't a big surprise. Leicester, I think, look like they could be on for a decent season.
Yes, they do, don't they? Yes.
I look at their team. I mean, they need to have a good season. About 5 years really of struggling in the top flights, and I look at their team. There's a lot of strength in that side, I think. And
Paul, of course, have just re-signed Chris Holder.
Yeah, Paul looked good. I think. I mean, Casper Werner, I think, was impressed me when he rode the Coventry 2-3 seasons ago. So I think Paul, the makings of a good side. We don't really know much about some of the other teams. Bellevue, of course, have only named Steve Worrell, I think. So, but I would imagine they'll have a fairly strong side again, as they have done for the last few seasons. Somerset, I think, are going to be boosted by having world champion in their side in Jason Doyle. That did surprise me a little bit when he went back there, but at least we're going to have the world champion riding in the UK.
Riding in the UK, yeah, absolutely. Right, well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you short there, Matt. But I look forward to having you in the studio when we start up again in March. And
no problem, I'll see you then.
Yeah, you take care. Enjoy the rest of the close season, mate.
Cheers.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, I just want to get through a few of these comments on the shout box. It's just been mad on the shout box tonight. I'm not going to be able to say an awful lot about them because we're running out of time now. But so we got year on year. This is from Mike Parks. Year on year, we hear about riders being left out because of the points limit. Riders improve their averages and get rewarded by being dropped. Every time this happens, I feel we lose a few fans as well as the rider. This year at Eastbourne, Jake Knight is out, an exciting rider to watch, and it will be a great loss for Speedway. Should we be surprised that fans stay away? Well, I've been banging on about that almost since 2007. But there are two sides to that. I also think you do need to have new riders in as well. I don't think it needs to be the same, because bringing new riders in, I mean, I bet Somerset, for instance, this year are wrapped. They've got Jason Doyle riding from the world champion. So you do need to bring, there's a balance to be struck, and I think we've not got the balance right.
I think you need a nucleus, and then you need a addition.
Connor Brown says Tom is a great rider. It's always fun to see him ride. I'm presuming he means Tom Bacon. It's going to be interesting to see who is given the captaincy this year, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was Tom. So that's going to be interesting to see. I've JPB riding for Glasgow. We spoke about that already. Graham Darlington. For a minority sport, it's not a good value, I presume is what he means. You can go to a horse race meeting for £10, and championship football, that is massive, at £15 to £20 for the cheapest seats. Is that right? Yeah, it depends where you... well, first of all, I don't think you can go to a horse race meeting for £10. You might be able to get in for £10, but you ain't gonna get, it's going to cost you a lot more than that. Horse racing's about... What? Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, it's not just that. If you go to a horse race meeting, you don't go to just watch the horse racing, do you? You go to put money on a horse. You're not comparing. It's a different type of thing, really. I don't think that's so. If Swindon are racing the same night as Birmingham, would Danyon and Davey be missing? Short answer, yes. And it is a worry. But my understanding is that they're probably going to be racing most of their, or a lot of their meetings on a Thursday, and the ones that they do a ride on a Wednesday. Hopefully we won't be riding. Watch this space. It is a worry. I've got, yeah.
Joe Ruffman, great listen. Thank you for your...
Oh, thank you very much, Gerald. 4.65 is the bargain rider of this season. Probably right. Yeah. Anthony Boyd, thanks, chaps. Great listening. And I think we've got to the top. Well, yeah, and we've run over as well. Once again, surprise, surprise. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking part and for listening. We will see you in March when it will all start again, and who knows. Take care, everyone.